Hello, everybody. This is Max with BuzzTox, and I'm here to talk Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 8. I don't know, as you can tell from my reaction video, I wasn't as enthusiastic as I was about all the other episodes. And I think that really tells based on what time I'm uploading this video. After watching this episode, I just wasn't excited to talk about it, and I think that really speaks more volumes than any of it. I wasn't excited to sit down and talk to you guys or talk to anybody about it. So I just kind of put it off. But don't get me wrong, I thought the episode was okay. But I realized the problem I have with this episode was the exact same problem I had with episode 1 of season 6. It felt like the writing was convenient for being convenience sake, like Duran and Trystane, the Sandstakes magically ending up on the boat. I felt like in episode 1 there were all these inconsistencies that I feel like this episode also had. So I think this episode suffered from two major things. I think directing was a big issue. You know, the director did a great job with The Broken Man. However, I feel like some opportunities were missed in the direction of the show. I feel like you could have directed it better in a way that it would seem more, I would be more on the edge of my seat. I felt during the chase scene, I wasn't on the edge of my seat. Like the waves, like weird cheesy looks kind of threw me off. I feel like it could be filmed more intense. I don't know, I just had an issue with the direction of it. I feel like every death was shot away and we didn't get a dramatic ending or final for like the Blackfish, which I understand why they didn't show it. The candle, when she cut out the candle, I 100% understand why she fought in darkness. That makes sense. But like, why did we not see Lady Crane's death? Why didn't we see her like looking at Arya while she died? Or like something more dramatic, more like intense. That's what I want, and I feel like we didn't get it. We just would get a flash away. The Blackfish says, okay, I'm gonna go and take back my castle all alone. And then he leaves, and then we find out 2 minutes later that he's dead. So I don't know, I feel like we were missing a lot of emotion there. And then also, I feel like, you know, writing was obviously an issue. There were a lot of predictions out there. I thought that Arya would be in contact with Lady Crane, and she was acting so out of character to maybe draw in the wave. But that wasn't the case. She was just enjoying the sights. And I feel like if you're writing, you need to stay consistent with your characters. And I feel like in this episode it wasn't. And it's annoying that we spent 2 seasons in Bravos and we ended with just this. Like, it seemed so anticlimactic. But anyway, enough of my bitching. Let's go over to the recap, alright? So we go over to Lady Crane. And she's at the theater. She's performing with dead Joffrey, and she incorporates some of her speech that she got from Arya. She would be angry, etc. So she finishes her show. Everyone's very pleased, and she walks in. She sees Arya all slit up and cut up. I knew that Arya would go to Lady Crane. I don't know. It's just weird to me that she's just sitting in a closet waiting for her. So she stitches Arya up, and then pretty much they're just talking. Arya wants to go west to Westeros. Sure, I'm down with that, even though she's going to go to Westeros, but that might be maybe like what she does after the whole show. I don't know. And then she gets milk of the poppy. She's nervous, and then she passes out. So pretty much, you know, I'm okay with this, but what pissed me off is that the whole point of the stabbing in episode 7 was to make high stakes. To make us sit on the edge of our seat and be like, holy shit, holy shit. And then they totally backtrack on the next episode. So this is what pisses me off, because this is totally what happened with episode 1 of season 6. They say, oh, Marcella's dead, Jaime's leaving, what's going to happen? Sandstakes are waiting. Oh, okay, let's fix it, guys. The next episode, the Sandstakes are on the boat. They kill Trystane. They kill Duran. It's just like, they quickly write to fix their mistake. Pisses me off. And she should have died. Like, she was in like mucky water with her stab wound. She was stabbed 3 times. And the inconsistencies with it is that when she was injured, and then I'll get into it later, but when the wave comes to get her and she runs through the streets, she seems fine, which I can say, okay, I could argue it's adrenaline. I can suspend my disbelief. But then she slides on the ground, not showing any pain at all. And then she jumps and she falls down the stairs, shows pain, but then when she goes to see Jaqen, she seems totally fine. So these inconsistencies really made me angry, and the director should have told Maisie Williams, the actor who acts as Arya, to pretend to be injured. So I don't know. This just makes me nervous of the show going forward because I feel like, an injury like this should have been fatal. So now I don't know what a fatal injury is anymore. And that really upset me because now all this shit's happening. The Battle of the Bastards happening. Hey, if Ramsay gets stabbed, I'm gonna be like, hey, you better watch out. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna live. I feel like everyone's gonna live from their fatal injuries now, and it's like the thing that happens in Hollywood. Someone gets fatally injured, they come back, they bounce back, they finish the task. Like it's like I don't want that. This is Game of Thrones. It's supposed to be a realistic fantasy. Like it's supposed to be like realistic medieval kind of thing. You know what I mean? And she should have died, and it does bother me. Anyways, let's go over to the Hound. So pretty much we're with a bunch of the Brotherhood, and this dude's trying to teach this other guy how to kiss, and he ends up shoving his finger up the guy's ass. I don't know, but I find it funny because you see the Hound kind of walking in the background. He looked so pissed. So he ended up killing all of them, and then he hit one in the nuts, and then he pretty much told him he was shit at dying. And that was the scene. Which is why I enjoy that scene. It was nice to see the Hound back, and I like how we're getting to see a lot of him now. And I think he's making primary character status, as I said before, which I love. I love watching the Hound. It's great. But what I love about the scene mainly is that the Hound is always after Arya. Every time we see Arya, we get the Hound. Or every time we see the Hound, we get Arya. They're always next to each other. So I find that really interesting, and I think that's a really good dynamic. And I think they're going to keep that until they get back together. And I honestly think they're going to get back together at Winterfell. As I said before, I think the Hound isn't going to King's Landing. Well, it's disproven now, but I think he's going to be going to Winterfell to help out Jon. But not for the Battle of the Bastards. He's not going to make it that fast. But what I also like about this scene is that it really showed us the Hound is back. The Hound who likes to kill is back. I feel like the main difference, though, is what I like to see, is that he had a new experience. He got to see the poor people. He got to be with and understand these people. And he got to be around nice people. And he never has been, He's been at Clegane. He grew up hard, and his brother burned his face. Even his own brother didn't like him. He never had any love. And then when he went to King's Landing, he didn't have any friends. He was just a hound. He was the dog. He was the guy who followed orders. And he hated everyone in King's Landing until he finally said, fuck the king. Like, I hate this. I'm out. And he always acted hard, but he couldn't take it anymore, and he left. And I think this is his real first experience of being with good people. And he used to steal, like when he was with Arya, and he stole this guy's money and left him and his daughter to die because he said winter was coming. Because he always had this hatred for everyone because that's all he ever knew. But now that he's seen it, you're going to see him be more of a saint in the sense that he's only going to kill the people who he deems bad. So I find that really interesting, and I think Arya's the same. She has her kill list, but why does she leave the Faceless Men? She refuses to kill good people. And I think the Hound is the same. And I think they both went on their separate arcs to come to the same conclusion, and I think you're going to see them together because they have the exact same mindset, and I think it would be great to see them together again. We then move on from the Hound and get a shot with Tyrion and Varys. So, pretty much just like the description, Tyrion's reaping bare fruit. This whole episode, Tyrion's been through the moon because his plan worked. The whole city's crowded, everyone's happy. But now they're all following these, I guess, religion fanatics. And Varys obviously is a little suspicious, he doesn't like it. But he says he has to leave. He says the reason he has to leave is he has to make allies in Westeros because Daenerys doesn't really have any. So I feel like this could be one of two things, as I understand it. So I came onto the show late, so I didn't really get to read the books. I'm going to be reading the books in between Season 6 and Season 7. I'm going to be reviewing them for you guys. Quick little plug there for you. But anyways, so I haven't read the books, but what I've heard is that Varys kills Kevin Lannister, Pycelle, Qyburn, like all those people at King's Landing. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what he could do. You see the little bird stabbing Qyburn in the trailer. Or, okay, I can't even say Qyburn. You see the little bird stabbing somebody. That could be Varys' return. Actually, you know what? I think I just figured it out. Because Varys, when Qyburn was talking to Varys' little birds, they were saying that they loved Varys because he was so nice. And I think that was laying down the seeds for the kids to betray Qyburn. Because I think Varys is going to come in. What's up, kids? You want some candy? And they're all going to flee to Varys, and Varys is going to use the children to kill Qyburn to kind of make room for Daenerys on the throne by killing all of these head leaders. If that involves Tommen, sure. If that involves the High Sparrow, maybe. But the one thing that dampers my thoughts on this is what's happening to King's Landing now. We got Cersei not having a trial by combat. She's pissed as fuck. And we also have, a little wildfire speculation that she could burn down the Sept or something, which could potentially burn down King's Landing. I don't know. So I feel like that's the only thing that stands in the way of that idea. But Varys could also go to Dorne. I feel like it's time to get Dorne back in the fold. We haven't seen them since on the fucking boat in King's Landing. So I think Varys could be talking to Oberyn Martell's wife? Oberyn Martell's lover? I forget her name. Olenna Sand, I believe it is. And her 3 creepy daughters. And what that could be, I think that's a match made in heaven. I think the Dornish and the Targaryens, the Martells and the Targaryens have had great history together. Rhaegar and fucking hell, the Martell, Oberyn's sister, I forget her name. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. And they were married. They had a great marriage. And even though Rhaegar did betray them, I think they still hold high regard. They still like him. So I think that's where you're going to see your first. I think that's where Daenerys is going to get her allies first. But after the Greyjoys, I feel like Theon and Yara are going to go there with the ships, and that's a match made in heaven. So, but anyway, speaking of Cersei, so we get the I choose violence moment. So the High Sparrow is sending some of the Faith Militant, members of the Faith Militant, to come and take Cersei because he wants to talk to her in the Sept of Baelor. And Tommen knows that the High Sparrow wants to speak with her. And at this point, Tommen just agrees with everything the High Sparrow says, pretty much. But she refuses. And she uses her big mountain man to take out one of the guys, to freak them out, and they take off. But what I like about it is that she chooses violence, she kills one of them, but then she says that the High Sparrow is always welcome to visit, which if he did visit, he would be dead. And it's a smart move on her part. She can just hold her own place. Nobody will come and take her. It would lose too many lives. So I'm really curious to see with her trial, not by combat, but by 7 Septons, how they're going to take her. Because I don't think, if she doesn't make a move on her own, she's going to just hold up there. And then they're going to have to try and take her. And can they take her with the mountain there? I'm not sure. But that being said, I thought the I choose violence, I thought that would be like episode 10. I thought it would be like this big thing. Turns out it wasn't, which I'm actually fine with. It made sense in the way it was described. I think I had a couple of reasons why I thought she would do it. I thought she would do it because maybe Qyburn died by the little birds. Clearly that's not going to be until episode 10. And I also thought it would be kind of like a reason to get to her son, even though she already can. So I was wrong about that. I thought she would go on a Sparrow killing spree to try and get her in front of Tommen. But that wasn't the case either. It was really just to hold her ground and not see the High Sparrow. But we'll come back to Cersei. So let's go over to Brienne, Jaime, Bronn, and Pod. So pretty much Pod and Bronn, I really enjoyed their scene. It's just funny. It's a really funny scene. They're talking about Brienne having sex. I don't even know. And Bronn says that he prefers working with Tyrion than Jaime because, in a sense, Jaime attracts all women. But of course, my over-speculative mind goes in and looks at, are they foreshadowing something? Will we see Tyrion and Jaime collide? Because I know in season 5, Bronn said, if you see the wee fucker talking about Tyrion, tell him, send him my regards. But then Jaime said, if I see Tyrion, I'll split him in 2. I'll kill him. When I first saw that scene, I said, Jaime's just acting like he's not pissed, I hated my dad too, and I'm pissed that Tyrion killed him, but I can't be mad at Tyrion. I can't blame Tyrion, but I'm going to put on this facade to, I don't know what I was thinking, but I think Jaime is legitimately pissed at Tyrion. Whether he would fight him or not, I'm not sure, but if they ever did come to blows, Bronn would pick Tyrion's side, which makes me think, how could they possibly come to fight? Maybe Tyrion comes back to Westeros when it's already been blown to shit. Jaime's there. I don't know. I'm not in the mindset to speculate that far ahead. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I thought it was interesting how Bronn said he would choose Tyrion over Jaime. Anyway, so we go in the tent with Jaime and Brienne, and we see Jaime just assume Sansa would have been dead. So it's pretty funny how we see Jaime send Brienne away with his sword to go save Sansa and Arya. Where in the back of his mind, he knew, or even he was hoping that they would be dead. He was just doing it to keep his honor. But he didn't want them to be saved. He expected them to be dead. And it just shows he's not your knight. He's not the perfect dude, he thought that they would have been dead. He expected them to be dead, and they're not. And Brienne did a good job. So he's like, oh, okay, wow, oh, cool, great. So they argue about Riverrun politics, about who owns Riverrun, all that stuff. And Brienne tells Jaime that she needs to go negotiate with the Blackfish to allow him to head north. And Jaime actually allows her to do that. She then tries to give him his sword, and he says no. So then now it's her sword, which is great about Jaime. I really enjoyed that. But symbolically, is that a word? Symbolically? It could also mean that Jaime isn't ready to keep oaths. Like he refused it because he was being like a nice guy, and she did earn the sword. But that being said, if you look at it on an English essay point of view, he's refusing to oath keep, which means that we may be getting more, oathbreaker status things from Jaime Lannister. The Valonqar killing Cersei, that kind of stuff. It shows that he's not ready for it, and he's still an oathbreaker, and he can't commit to being an oathkeeper right now. After Brienne gets the sword, she tells Jaime that honor compels her to fight Jaime if he attacks the castle. And he hopes it doesn't come to that. So Brienne does get in the castle with the Blackfish, and naturally he doesn't want any part of it. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't know who Brienne is. He doesn't know if he can trust her, which I understand. So then it comes down to Brienne pretty much telling him how she came into his service and how she got the sword and all that stuff. And then he read the letter. What made me nervous is that it seemed like when he was reading the letter, he's like, "Oh, just like her mother." I thought he would be like, "Okay, great, wow, okay, let's go help Sansa." I thought he would leave immediately. So it's good that he still refused. For some weird reason, I thought that he was just going to agree, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But he didn't, so it's good. But I will get into it later at the last scene here. But I don't think anything really happened with this Riverrun thing. Like this whole build up and this whole thing that we've seen, I think it pretty much was to unite Brienne and Jaime for 2 minutes. But I'll get more into that later. But let's go back over to Cersei. So Cersei pretty much goes into the throne room, and they have a royal announcement to make. Cersei's pissed that she wasn't informed. Kevin's smart ass informs her, and then says that she doesn't belong by Tommen's side, but with the women of the court. So she goes all the way up to like the back of the room, and she's watching her son, and Tommen just threw her under the bus. He said the trial will be in the Sept of Baelor, and he forbid the trial by combat throughout the Seven Kingdoms. And he said instead they're going to be using Seven Septons. So this pretty much fucks Cersei because she's automatically guilty. I don't know if her guilt. I don't know if it's by death. It may be. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it would be by death. What surprised me about this is that I thought that what would make Cersei pissed is a change of what she expected. She expected a trial by combat, 1-on-1. But I said it would be 7v7. Makes total sense to me that they would cancel the trial by combat, but I feel like I was still trying to hold on to that. And, make it 7, make it awesome, it'd be sick. 7-on-1, the Hound. Or the Hound. 7-on-1, the Mountain against 7. But I was wrong, so they took away the whole thing altogether. But then the most interesting part of this is that Cersei, she's lost everything. She wants her son back. And then Qyburn kind of comes up behind her. He was talking about a rumor that she told him about, and he said that it's more than just a rumor. Which, what is he talking about? So, I think it's pretty clear. I think they were talking about Wildfire. And it was either about them being in stock, or it was the rumor of the Mad King having Wildfire caches throughout King's Landing. Which could say, like, what is her plan here? As for her being a mother, it would catch me off guard if she would want to burn down King's Landing. To me, it doesn't make sense. I feel like her goal is she wants to save her son from this stupid religion. And she'll do anything necessary, and she'll burn cities to the ground for her children. And Tommen is now, she feels like, is in danger, and she doesn't like where he's headed, and she wants to save him. So what's she gonna do? She's gonna burn cities to the ground. And I think that could result in Tommen's death. But if he died and Cersei lived, I don't see that dynamic happening. I don't see Cersei living without any of her children. So I don't know what the hell she would do. Maybe try and just burn down the sept, and hope that and know that Tommen's not there or something. I'm not sure, and maybe it would spread throughout the city. I'm not 100% sure, but if she were to burn something down, she would have to be confident that Tommen would not be there. So I'm not sure. And Trevor said that Cersei's dying this season, Tommen's dying this season, all this shit. Loras and Marjorie are dying this season. I said I think Loras is dying, and I think Tommen is dying. And I don't see Wildfire burning down yet. I thought it would be season 7 where you would see King's Landing burn down, but I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit more convinced now it could be episode 10. I don't know. I don't know. We will see. I will give an episode 10 prediction next week. See how I feel about that. And Trevor will be here, so that'll be great. So now for some comic relief, we go to Tyrion, Grey Worm, and Missandei. So notice I said comic relief, and I feel like that's been Tyrion this whole season. I miss in season 2, he really had some great shining moments. And I feel like Tyrion right now is just all laughs. And I feel like that's my complaint for this whole season, I would feel like, is that now that they're off the books, I feel like Dan and Dave, the producers, just want to make everything funny. And nothing should be funny. Like, we're nearing the season finale. And we're in season 6. We have 2 half seasons left. Things should start to get serious. But it's getting 10 times more funny. And we've spent this whole season sitting with Tyrion while he's drinking and making jokes with Grey Worm and Missandei. So Tyrion pretty much encourages them to drink. And he forces them to drink by toasting the Mad Queen. Or the Mad Queen, oh my god. By toasting the Queen. But I thought it was really funny because Grey Worm and Missandei don't get the jokes. And then Grey Worm made kind of a joke, and I just loved his smile. He was so proud that he made Missandei laugh. I thought it was hilarious. But anyways, I think the whole point of this scene was to show that Missandei and Grey Worm are now becoming more of a ruler. We've always seen them being kind of a slave. Even when Dany was ruling them, of course, they've been slaves their whole lives. They're going to be affected. They're very straight and stern. But in this episode, really, they kind of loosened up. And I think it really shows Tyrion's kind of the example on how to act like a ruler, and it might rub off on them a little bit. And I think it was interesting because I think it's just literally grooming them to take over Meereen when Daenerys leaves with Tyrion. Because Tyrion, he doesn't do great in Essos, but he'll do great in Westeros. So as they're talking, Tyrion's trying to tell a joke about the honeycomb and the jackass, which he tried to talk about at the Vale in season 1 in his trial by combat. But then they go outside and a bunch of ships are rolling up on Meereen. So Tyrion was totally wrong on that one. The Masters aren't happy with just a little bit. They want all of it. So they're coming back to take it over. And I really loved it too, how really to take home how Grey Worm and Missandei are becoming more of a ruler figure. This is more into the next scene, but Tyrion wanted to storm the beachhead. And Grey Worm says, no, we're not doing what you want to do. This is what we're doing. And it just shows that he's ready for that leadership role in Essos. And it's clear that Tyrion is out of his league across the sea in Essos. So I thought that was interesting. Let's go over to Jaime and Lord Edmure. So I really like this scene a lot because Jaime kind of plays good cop, bad cop. But in the sense that I actually thought Jaime was being legitimate. And then when Lord Edmure says, how do you live with yourself? I thought Jaime actually took that to heart. And I thought for some reason that he was trying to be friends with Lord Edmure. But then to find out that he was just doing that to kind of, I don't know, get more out of him. I don't know. It blew my mind how all of a sudden he sunk down to such a scary level. So he's pretty much talking about their sisters and how their fierce love. They would do anything for their children, and they said it was unique. And then he ended up saying that I love Cersei. Like, you can laugh at it if you want, but I will do anything to get to her. Whether if I have to kill every Tully, if I have to catapult your fucking baby over the wall, I'm gonna do it. So naturally, Lord Edmure goes to the castle to try and get them to back down. And he demands entry, so they let him in. Blackfish doesn't want to let them in. But, you know, in a sense, you can't blame them because he's their lord. So I understand that. But Lord Edmure wants the Blackfish captured by the Freys. Who knows? Like, just take them? Like, they'll already have Riverrun, so why do they have the Blackfish? Maybe they'll just punish them? Not sure. But then after Lord Edmure goes throughout the castle and they take down the wall to allow the Lannisters to come in, we see Brienne getting on a boat ready to leave, and the Blackfish says that he wants to stay. He wants to go out with a good fight. He wants to defend his home. And Brienne and Pod take off on their little ship. And Blackfish just runs and gets himself killed. Like, I think, you know, we could have seen him get maybe a little hurt or something, a little bit more dramatic there, but we got nothing. We heard from a Lannister guard that he died. So I think just my overall problem with this whole storyline is that, what was the point? Like, I understand that not every storyline has to have a point. Like, this shit happens. If, like, in our history, there's been history that just, this shit happens all the time. There's no plot point. But I thought we would get something, like maybe Blackfish goes with Brienne or something like that. Like, I always thought that Brienne would walk in and be like, okay, look, we leave through the back, we leave the castle empty, we go north. We help take back Winterfell, and then after, I promise, we are going to take Stark men, and we are going to rush Riverrun and take it back for you, and defend it for you, and ensure that you have it. No, that didn't happen. They just surrendered it. So, I don't know, you know, it's all right. But I understand, like, nothing really happened out of it. But now we have Brienne and Pod coming back to Winterfell. And so is the Hound. The Hound seems like he's going north. And it seems like they're going to cross paths. So I really like this scene with the Hound, where he meets up with the Brotherhood, Thoros of Myr and Beric Dondarrion. And they're hanging 3 men. And that being said, I quickly want to say, I was really happy to see Beric Dondarrion again. I knew we were going to see Thoros and Myr, but I was happy to see Beric Dondarrion, because what I said was that they wouldn't have Beric Dondarrion there, because it would be an Easter egg to Lady Stoneheart, that they would say, oh, Beric Dondarrion sacrificed himself to try and save Lady Stoneheart, but it failed. I never thought Lady Stoneheart would be a thing, but I thought Beric Dondarrion would die to kind of give a little Easter egg to that. But no, he's alive, which is great. I'm happy with that. So the Hound pretty much negotiates to kill 2 people. And he kills them. And then Lemmingcloak, he gets choked out. And then the Hound takes his boots. So I was really excited when he was, like, searching him. I'm pissed. I thought it was a missed opportunity. And I think the director and the fucking writers, how did they not see this? Septa Ray was missing his 7-pointed star medallion when he was hung. I thought the Hound would take it and put it on, and that would be his thing. He would always wear it, and it would represent his friend. It would represent all that stuff. It's a religion symbol, but it wouldn't mean that to the Hound. It would mean something much more. And I thought they would do that, and I would love if they did it, and they didn't do it. I thought it was a missed opportunity, a huge missed opportunity. I was so pissed. The Hound grabs the fucking boots, and he doesn't grab the medallion. But maybe next episode, hopefully. I don't know, but I wished it was a symbol that he always wore. I thought that would be great. But then after that, the Hound pretty much just sits with Dondarrion, and he asks if Hound would want to join the Brotherhood. And he says the cold winds are rising in the north, like the winds of winter. So it seems like the Brotherhood feels like the most people they can help is north, because winter's coming, or it's already here. And the most people they can help is in the north. And the Hound doesn't really know, but Beric says, you know, you're a fighter. They were talking about their trial by combat. He's like, you defeated me for a purpose. And he's like, that's because I'm better than you, Beric. But, it plays on that part that the Hound means something. The Hound represents something. And, the Hound's purpose may be just to fight. And fight at the wall. Fight for the people against the White Walkers. So I thought that was interesting. But it makes me wonder, will he unite with Brienne and Pod? I don't know, because we have these two different parties heading over to the Wall now. Or, well, to Winterfell. We have Brienne and Pod, and then we also have the Brotherhood and the Hound. So either the Brotherhood finishes up in Riverrun and then goes, or they're heading to Winterfell right now. We also have Arya. We don't know where Arya's going. Is she going to the Wall? I don't know. But speaking of Arya, let's move on to the weirdest chase scene ever. We see her sleeping and wakes up to the waif. I guess Lady Crane dead, and the waif just kind of standing there looking at her. I feel like, as I said before, I feel like Lady Crane's death could have been done better. I had no emotional pull from that. I think it would have been better if they filmed it differently. Maybe actually showing Lady Crane dying. I've had enough of this, surprise, they're dead. I want to see the death. I feel like it'd be more dramatic. I want to see Arya's face as she's watching Lady Crane die, and she knows that it's her fault. I feel like we needed to see this shit. But anyway, she awakes with a noise, and it's Lady Crane dying, and the waif is standing there coming to kill her. So then Arya's wounds, thankfully, have healed enough. So she jumps out of the window, which was a pretty big fall, and is fine, and she keeps running. I just wish she showed that she was in more pain than she, was. She should have been in a lot of pain, man. A lot of pain. But I understand she got adrenaline, she got milk of the poppy. It's all good. So we see her running, and they're, jumping out of the building. She slides on the ground. Her stomach's, rubbing against the ground. Could have, ripped out her frickin' stitches. That would have hurt like hell. And then she jumps down the stairs, falls, and then that's what kind of wounds her. So her stitches open back up, and then it's pretty much survival. She's trying to crawl back to her space where she left Needle and all of her things. She's going there. She's marking the wall with blood to try and lead. Well, see, I'm giving her too much credit. I thought that Arya would use her blood to kind of lure the waif to her so she could fight her in the dark. But to me, it seemed like it was just survival. She was just trying to get back there because she knew her best hope was to get Needle. She was only touching the walls because she was in pain, and I feel like she on purpose, she didn't mean to, but she led her there, and she got lucky that she could fight her in the dark. So we see the waif. She closes the door, and she's getting ready to kill Arya, but then Arya cuts the candle. I loved it. I love this part. Trev and I have been saying this for a long time. Ever since in the start of the season, they've been teasing her being blind and her honing her skills blind. You see her kind of in one of the stick fights, she really starts to learn how to block and that kind of stuff. It really was teasing Arya fighting the waif in darkness. And that's the only strength that she has over the waif. The waif doesn't practice with her eyes closed. So it's the perfect way to defeat her. So she did. Cut out the lights, boom, and then we go to the Hall of Faces. We see Jack, and for some reason he seems suspicious. He knows something's going down. And then he sees the waif's face in the wall. I like this. The cutaway for this death made sense. You can't have no light and hear people just moaning and groaning in the darkness. It doesn't make sense. It just seems cheap and weird to me. It made sense to have the cut and then have the reveal. I understand that. That was very well done. However, this last part, I have no idea about. I just don't know. So Jaqen sees Arya. Arya comes up behind him with Needle and gives him a little poke in the belly. And Jaqen says, "Finally, a girl is no one." And, Arya claims that she isn't no one. She's Arya Stark, and she's going home. But then Jaqen just gives kind of a smug look. Kind of oh, okay, are you sure about that? Okay, great, Arya, have fun. And, and then she leaves. So now I'm kind of confused. Because I've always said, you don't leave the Faceless Men after the amount of training that she's had. I feel like now she has kind of insider Faceless Men secrets. She's seen everything. It's almost like she has to die because she's seen too much. So either Jaqen was, kind of playing it up to allow her to leave and then he'll kill her, or he legitimately just said, "Okay, you've proven yourself, you've given me a face, Thank you very much for this face, Arya. Now you may go home. So I'm not sure what this is. I don't know how to read it. It's very confusing. But, like, why did Jack and Hagar let her go? You could say that Arya was some kind of, like, chosen faceless person. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, they knew that, like, Arya had to be trained, but had to be herself to kill certain targets. I don't know. I don't know how to explain this. I just don't know. I'm gonna talk to Trev about this next week, because I'm not really sure what to say about this. However, I do want to talk about Arya going forward. I did say that I thought that Arya would get like a 2-minute scene in episode 10 just showing, oh, I'm in Westeros, and that's it. However, I watched this guy on YouTube. His name is Enchantment of Eternity, okay? Please go check him out. I've been watching his stuff since I started watching Game of Thrones. He makes excellent content, and then I binge watched all of his Game of Thrones videos he's ever made. I watched all of them. He made a very good prediction that I didn't see coming, and I want to give him the credit because I did not predict this, or I did not think of this. So he's convinced that Arya is going to kill Walder Frey. We see him feasting with all of his Lannister soldiers. He thinks that Arya is going to walk in there and kill Walder Frey. Whether she poisons him or whatever, she's going to kill him. Which to me, like, that's going to happen. It makes 100% makes sense to me. And then in season 7, it's going to be her going to Winterfell. And there's a couple reasons why I think this. When she left on her boat, when she got on the boat and left for Braavos, she was in and around that Riverrun area. She was around the twins, because that's where the Hound fell off and got his leg all fucked up. And she hopped on a boat and headed to Braavos. And I think she's pretty much getting on the same boat back and getting dropped off at the same dock, because she wouldn't drive straight to Winterfell because of ice and snow and all that shit. You can't drive a boat through that. So she's going to go a little south of Westeros where there's no snow, take out Walder Frey, and then work her way up to Winterfell. So to me, it makes total sense. And I think we're going to finish episode 10 with her killing another name off her list, just like the end of season 5. And then it will be her traveling back to Winterfell in season 7. So I want to thank Enchantment of Eternity for that great prediction idea. So I thought I would just speak it here, because I'm convinced it's going to happen. It has to happen. But now let me go over to episode 9. So, Battle of the Bastards. Alright, so I said in my reaction video to this season, or to this episode, that we're going to see Daenerys and we're going to see Jon. I want this to be a 100% dedicated Jon episode, but I don't think it is. It's a 60-minute episode, and Daenerys' story and Tyrion's story isn't over. They're in the middle of a battle. You can't just leave that for episode 10. It has to be addressed now. So I think we're going to spend like 10 or 15 minutes, hopefully just 10 minutes with Daenerys. Maybe she fries all of the ships. She doesn't need the ships because, first of all, it's too finicky to try and like, okay, Drogon, only burn the people, try not to burn the ships, okay? Like, you can't do that. So she's probably just going to burn everybody. And then, here's the thing. The description for the episode is terms of surrender are rejected and accepted. So if you want to think just the Jon Snow route, it could be terms of surrender are rejected, which is Ramsay Bolton, and accepted by the North. Terms are accepted by the North but rejected by Ramsay. Or you could say the terms of surrender are rejected by Ramsay because Ramsay's never going to surrender. He's a psycho. He'll never surrender. And accepted by either the Masters. Well, I guess surrender would be, yeah, the Masters would surrender. Well, I guess they would have to because they'd all be dead, right? So I feel like that could be applying to the Masters. We could see Theon and Yara maybe there, maybe negotiating with Dany, maybe being there, offering her their ships. Who knows? But let's go to the real meat of the episode, which I'm so excited about, man. Like, Jon is my favorite character. I'm so pumped. So let me go over to the preview. So in the preview, we see Ramsay has a legit army. They're all formulated properly. They got like the archers in the back and all that shit. Jon's army's a mess. You can't blame them. It's made up of wildlings. They don't do that stuff. But we hear Jon say to Sansa that battles have been won against greater odds. You know, he's talking about the White Walkers and stuff, but Sansa keeps saying, like, you don't know Ramsay. And what I like about this is that, you know, throughout Jon's whole journey, he's been this honorable Snow, who's been raised by the Starks and by his uncle, I guess, Ned Stark, or his father in quotations. But we've seen him as he's been with the wildlings, and he's been shaped, and now he's kind of lost his honor. He still has it. He's still a very honorable guy. But with fighting, he's lost that kind of an honor in fighting. Like when Ned Stark killed Arthur Dayne, or when he didn't kill Arthur Dayne, he was stabbed in the back. That's not honorable. And I feel like Jon's leaning that way. And I think what this hints to is that he doesn't know Ramsay. And I think for him to defeat Ramsay, he's going to have to lose that honor. He's going to have to fight Ramsay dirty. And that's what I'm excited for. But then we also hear Jon say, thousands of men don't have to die, or don't need to die. Only one of us. The audio sounded so clear on this, so I don't know if he was outside. I don't know if he was talking to Ramsay before the fight. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I can't think of why he would say this, or how he would say it to Ramsay. So maybe you guys can think about that. Because if he's standing outside, it wouldn't have sounded like that. And I'm sure if he would have gotten close enough to Ramsay to say that, he would have been shot and killed. So I'm thinking he says that when they're going to do a showdown. It's going to be Jon versus Ramsay. It's going to be like Hollywood style. It's what I said I wanted. I want Jon versus Ramsay. Everyone's like fighting and shit, and I want Jon and Ramsay fighting each other. And I think he should say that, you know, as they're going into the fight. He says that, and they start fighting. It'd be sick. But there's also a couple other things I want. So I want the Hollywood fight between Jon and Ramsay. I also want a Braveheart speech. I want Jon to give like a 3-minute solid speech to his men before they go into battle. I think it would be amazing. He's like riding his horse, like giving an awesome speech. And they've been teasing a lot of speeches throughout this season. Like Mace Tyrell's really shit speech. Daenerys' badass dragon speech. And now I think we're going to get Jon's horse speech. I think it'll be very cool. But the main thing I want is character development. I want it to be like The Wall. I want to see every character's perspective. I want to learn more about them. I want to understand what they're going through before the war. Like we see Davos at Shireen's pyre, it seems like. And I think he's going to discover Shireen. Shireen died there, and by burning, and I think he's going to find that charred elk. And that's going to really upset him. And I want it to see, you know, Jon talking to Melisandre, Jon talking to Sansa, Sansa talking to Davos. Like I want to see all these relationships kind of form and intertwine before they go into battle. And I really want Ghost to fight. I really want to see a good Ghost fighting alongside Jon. We've never seen a really good direwolf fight, so we got to see it. But now during the fight, I think we're going to see, like before the fight starts, I think we're going to see Rickon on the cross. I think that's pretty much set. And I feel like we kind of see Jon give kind of a bad look in the preview, and I think that's Rickon burning. I think Davos is going to die. I think he's going to find out about Shireen, and I feel like he's going to get a little bit reckless, and I think during the fight, he's going to die. And I feel like Davos is going to be the main big character that dies this season. Because, you know, he's mainly the talker, and I feel like we're moving to a story where you don't need talking. You're going to have a threat, and everyone's going to come together and fight the threat. Because it's going to be there. We don't need somebody to talk and try and convince people to fight. Because the issue will be very well understood, because White Walkers will be approaching on the wall. I think Won would die in battle. I think people really like the Giant. However, I think it would be a good part halfway through the battle to have Won die, because it really symbolizes like Jon would be losing, because Won is Jon's biggest asset. He's huge, and I feel like him dying would symbolize, you know, their downfall. But I think Tormund will live. And I always thought he would live, because he's the only important wildling character. And you can't have him die and then have all these wildlings, unless Jon's going to take that role. But I hope Tormund doesn't die. I love the character, and I hope he lives, and I think he'll live. But that being said, I think Peter Baelish will come in like 3/4 into the fight and change the tide. I think it'll look like Jon's going to lose, and then Peter Baelish will come in. I think they'll do that trope. I'm totally cool with it. But I don't think any soldiers will switch sides. I don't think you'll have any like Umbers being like, oh, okay, now we're going to switch sides to the Starks. You can't just switch sides during battle, unless they lay down their arms. But I feel like once it's clear, or like Ramsay's dead, once Ramsay's dead, all the soldiers are going to stop. And they're going to understand, they're going to hail the new king or queen of the North. But I think overall the episode will end with Peter Baelish, Jon, Sansa, going into Winterfell and kind of just talking and over terms and shit. I don't know. But I feel like that'll be more episode 10. But I feel like that's how it'll end. They'll enter Winterfell and then we'll see them talking in the next episode. But that's it, guys. It was a very short, quick episode, maybe because I can't really talk with anybody. It's just me kind of spewing my thoughts. And, this episode is okay. I didn't have much to say about it, to be honest. It kind of discouraged me a bit. But it's alright. I'm pumped for episode 9. It'll be awesome. You can expect a long video from us next week. I'm pretty sure I'll have a lot to say. But, I'll see you guys on Sunday night. I'm going to be posting my reaction video. Very exciting. I'm so excited to see this episode. But anyways, see you later, everybody.